on the barest majority who can, 10-2. And Kevin at that stage started his life sentence. What was your minimum term, Kevin?
Well, they asked for 30 years, massive sentence back there. I ended up serving 20.
So
served 20, not 10 and 20 do 10.
So in 2003, the SIO on the case, the main investigating officer involved with the original murder case, himself was convicted of a string of offences. This was somebody who Kevin, right from the very start, had said, it's him, he's fitting me up. It's this particular officer who's fitting him up. And there must have been a glimmer of hope for Kevin at that stage in 2003, because that particular officer finds himself in the dock, is found guilty, and off he goes to prison. So you think that at that point, that might start a little bit of a wobble around, is the case against Kevin then really strong? But the conviction stands and he stays in prison. 2005, Vincent and Smith, those original men that so many people had named in the first place, are convicted of an almost identical hit in the same part of the country. They use it in this later case, they've used an AK-47. They've ramped it up a little bit more by going out with a machine gun and blasting this guy. But it's basically a hired hit again, and Vincent and Smith are convicted at that stage. In 2015, Kevin was released on licence, so he's still a convicted murderer, but he manages to convince the parole board that he's not a danger and should be released on licence, which in itself is quite a remarkable thing to achieve, because anyone who's protesting their innocence usually has difficulty in being able to convince the parole board and probation that they should be released, that they're not a danger. But Kevin manages to get out at that stage. In 2015, Kevin's case finally, after all that time, gets in front of the Court of Appeal. And the case that his barrister's legal team built on his behalf was essentially citing the corruption of the original investigating officer. It showed the influence that particular officer had had in Kevin's case, and it was arguing that the investigation now against Kevin should be questioned. The other major part of the appeal was Vincent and Smith. Here we had these two men who had the form for it, had committed similar crimes. There was evidence against one of them in particular, so they're the people who should have been in the dock in the first place. But the Court of Appeal doesn't go with it. They basically, the judgment is a very interesting legal judgment to read. They basically end up saying, all right, we understand, we accept that the original investigating officer was corrupt, but where's the evidence he was actually corrupt in this case? And although individual things could be pointed to, the Court of Appeal wouldn't go far enough to say the conviction should be quashed. And I don't think that has any bearing whatsoever on whether or not the evidence which Kevin's legal team put forward was strong or really persuasive. It is just an artefact of the legal system making it so tremendously high. The barrier is so high. I'm tripping over that body again.
Oh, sorry.
Twice. The barrier is so high, the hurdle is so high for anyone who wants to get their conviction quashed, and Kevin wasn't successful. So in 2018, I met up with Kevin again through a journalist friend of both of ours, and Inside Justice has now started working on our case. So I'm going to ask Kevin just a couple of questions just to kick things off, but really this is your time to ask him whatever you want. Just one word on the case. We are in the process of conducting a really major review, and what that basically means for Inside Justice is that Kevin had 25, 30 cardboard boxes, each of them filled with hundreds and hundreds of pieces of A4 paper, each of which has to be, we've taken those into the offices, and they've all been scanned, every single page has been scanned so that we can get that up onto an electronic platform.
How many weeks did that take? It took a couple of months.
It did. It just the scanning job.
One girl every day, most days, 2.5 months photocopying paper.
And so all of those papers now for our team, each and every single piece of that evidence needs to be read. We've got a former senior detective from the Metropolitan Police who's now based in Belfast, who's working on this case with us. We've got the former head of intelligence of the Metropolitan Police, who herself was in charge of a team of 200 officers who's working on it, and then 2 of us from the casework team. And we are the task force working on that case, and we individually work on all of those papers remotely to try and come up with a strategy for what could we do, what on earth could we do that would really resolve it, that would make this case fall open, that would expose what's happened in it, that what can we find which nobody else has managed to find before now. So it's a hard task. But really I just want to ask Kevin to start with, can you give us some sort of sense of the impact on your life having this conviction? Because you're out, you're looking smart, you've obviously made a success of your life after all this time, but what impact has it had?
Never seen my children grow up. You know, those who've got children, best time of your life. 2 young boys, I was a great father. Played Father Christmas, and the kids were looking at me with a beard on. That's my dad. Love that voice. I missed all of that. So massive impact. Girlfriend, I was engaged to get married, got killed. Wasn't allowed to go to the funeral. Nothing like that. That killed me. Things like that, just devastating. Family members dying, granddads and such. Obviously the violence that you inflicted upon in prison, just the tragedy. Being able to rebuild your life and come home, very difficult. Because you're a convicted contract killer. I've lost contracts as a result of that.
You mean building contracts, not other?
Yeah, blimey, look at that one. Your Honour.
He's a builder. He's a builder.
See how easy it can be. So, yeah, but joking aside, it's been devastating for me. But it's turned around, thank God.
So what did you do when, from your prison cell, when you were trying to get people to help you? What did you do? What kind of things did you do?
I wrote over 10,000 letters, detailed documents A to Z, taking you through what I said was the injustices in my case. Handwritten letters, and I went to Oliver typewriter, then I got a glorified word processor of such. But I spent every single hour you can imagine reading and writing and reading and writing, and the cost implications of that for my family, my friends and such. But I missed exercise most days because I had to get that mail out, because every step, every letter I got out was a step near that door, I got a reply. People are taking note, the campaigns, the marches, massive momentum, and it takes years to get that. To get people to reply to you, just get a reply. You don't want to get a reply, I'll write another letter. CPS would write letters to me saying you are not to be replied to. See about that. Or another letter. And I wrote a letter to the Chief Crown Prosecutor as such. He said your letter is to be placed on file and not to be replied to. I went back to him, said something in that letter. He said, I asked you to use me as principal point of contact. Now I thought you should change your tune. Okay. So such matters like that are very difficult. But I wrote over 10,000 letters. May not seem like a lot, but believe me, it's a lot than this. You know, they're detailed documents of 20 or 30 pages as such.
When I talk to Kevin now about his case, I might have read somebody's statement, and I'll say to him, I was really interested in that statement that so-and-so said, and he will instantly remember every single detail from it. And that's because he spent 20 years every single day going through that paperwork and trying to look for something that would be able to prove it to the outside world. What would it mean? My last question for me, and then it's up to you folks. So what would it mean to you to get your conviction quashed now?
Oh God. I mean, I just want to stand at a court for people staring with my arms up and say, I fucking told you so. I never did it. I said to the jury when I got convicted, I turned around and said, you made a terrible mistake, I never did this. And I'm still saying it now. And that's what I want, so I can clear my name. And my kids, my dad never did this, and all the people that know me. I mean, I used to get a massive amount of Christmas cards a year, over 250, I sound like a pal, because I've done a couple of these now. And they said, you get more Christmas cards than Charlie Bronson, Kevin. That's not a big egotistical thing to say, but the amount of people that was in my campaign, old ladies and such, and friends and mums, and all sorts of people. And I had my own censor just for my mail in and out of the prison. So, I forgot the question now.
No, that's all right, you've done it. I think Kevin is quite unique, because the people that I know from the cases that we work on, what you find is that once a conviction is in, people are really supportive. People who really know that person and know they didn't do it are really supportive. But over the years that follows, it becomes so hard, I think, for people on the outside to keep up the contact with whoever's been convicted. So, you know, you will often find that the person is moved to a prison which is a long way from wherever their family live, so it's expensive. You're put into, when you go and visit somebody in prison, you are suddenly with them for 2 hours and you've just got to find things to talk about. Normal life isn't like that, you know, with your families and your friends and kids. You're not in this little condensed bubble for that time where you talk.
I just say, I mean, I was moved, I had 18 moves in 4 years once, beginning of my sentence, bang, 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 moved around blocks, this prison, that special security, this block, that block, all the disruption and such. And, you know, seeing your family, your loved ones, I was very lucky. I went on a visit once to Woodhill Prison. I had 79 visits, different people. And I remember a parent come to me and said, "Do not book any more visits, you're going." Well, no problem. 79 people, they couldn't work it out. Every day, different people. Very lucky, but that shows the support I had for the injustice and the miscarriage of justice that I was serving. It was commonly known I never did this murder. Within the area that I lived, commonly known, because the two people up there, Vincent and Smith, were bragging about the murder. But they did it.
So, questions?
How soon after the original killing were you arrested?
The murder happened on the 13th of October and I was arrested on January the 10th.
What did the police say? Why were they arrested?
My name was put forward. It was put forward by the original suspects working in cahoots with the corrupt police officer. And that's why they brought me to my door. At the time, there was endless amounts of tip-offs with information about the original two. One about me. You have to wonder where that one piece of information came. And there was two bits actually. One said Kevin Lowe's not responsible for this. But the one that did come, I've never known where it came from.
And did you know the car dealer?
No, never knew him, never met him. Never ever met him. I knew David Smith, never knew Vincent. So then I'm on bleeding trial with him, but I don't know this man. And they couldn't put us together all those years. It was quite bizarre. We've gone and killed someone together, we don't know each other.
Was there a lady here? Somebody else had their hand up here? Oh, sorry, gentlemen.
You know something you said there about, you said to the jury that made a big mistake. In the last 20 years,